When we saw the rules we can write in transactions, we stated that it was not necessary to specify when each of them is to be executed, because GeneXus determines the moment for triggering. Usually, the rules we define are executed when we expect it, but in some cases, it may become necessary to modify that moment in time. Let's look at an example. Suppose that for each flight, the airline wants to make it impossible to enter an incorrect number of seats, such as no flight with less than 8 seats. When a new flight is entered, we want the corresponding control to take place, and for the flight not to be saved if it does not fulfill the condition established. To achieve this, we modify the flight capacity attribute in the transaction that records the flights so that its formula has all the seats on the plane. Then in the rules section, we declare an error rule to not allow us to save a flight if it has less than 8 seats. And we write, error, the number of seats must be equal to or greater than 8 if flight capacity is greater than 0 and flight capacity is less than 8. And we close with a semicolon. We then press F5. We open the flight transaction to create a new flight. We leave the value of the identifier blank because it is auto-numbered. We enter a flight from the Guarulhos Airport in Sao Paulo, Brazil, to the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France. The cost of the flight is $3,000 with a 10% discount, and the airline is TAM. We now enter a Seat 1 window. We see that the error message appears. We obviously don't want the error message to be triggered here because we still have not entered all the seats. It's clear that if we only enter one single seat, we have less than 8 seats entered and the error rule would be triggered. But what we need is for the control of the number of seats to take place after the entry of all seats has been completed. For that to happen, we can condition that the rule be triggered after we finish working with the lines in the grid. So we write on, after level, level, flight seat char. The on after level moment causes the rule to be triggered after a level has been completed. Because in our case, it would have to be after the level of the seat grid lines has been completed, we add level flight seat char, since that attribute is in the level of the seat lines. This is how we tell GeneXus that the rule should be triggered after all data has been entered at the flight seat char attribute. That is, after entering all the flight seats. The assessment done by the error rule makes sense because when it's triggered, all the seats that the user wishes to enter will have been entered already, and it will be possible to verify if at least 8 seats have been entered. We then press F5. We open the flight transaction and enter a new flight. We repeat the data we used before. The flight from the Guarulhos Airport to the Charles de Gaulle Airport costs $3,000 with a 10% discount on TAM Airlines. We now enter the seats. 1, window A, 1, aisle, B, 2, window, A, 2, aisle, B, and then press confirm to indicate that we have finished entering seats. We can see that GeneXus will indicate that the number of seats entered is not enough, because we only entered 4 seats. We should now note that, until we press confirm to indicate that we leave the seats level, no assessment of the number of seats entered will take place. Now let's complete the number of seats until we reach a total of 8. So we type 3, window A, 3, 3 aisle, B, 4 window, A, and lastly, 4 aisle, B. We now press confirm, and we will see that GeneXus allowed us to save the flight with no problems. Let's get back to GeneXus and save the changes we did to our KB in GX Server. In this example, we saw that there are cases where the time selected by GeneXus to trigger a rule is not appropriate for our purposes, so it's important to instruct GeneXus the time when we want the rule to be executed. Just as we have the on after level moment to indicate that we want the rule to be going over one level, we have other moments, such as on after insert, to instruct that the rule be triggered immediately following the time when the data is saved, or on before insert for cases where we want to do or assess something immediately prior to the data being saved in the database. We should note that all these triggering moments start with the prefix on and are always written at the end of the rule declaration. There are a number of triggering moments available that we will not be seeing in this video. To find out about this topic in further detail, you can access the training site in the GeneXus course and click on the in-depth link, and then select the video entitled Order for the Execution of Rules and Formulas.